We live in a world defined by systems, where the margins for error are vanishingly small. When you are coordinating suspended steel on a massive construction project, navigating complex legal frameworks, or running a crowded hospital ward, the stakes are uncomfortably high. To manage these life or death risks, we lean heavily on technical compliance. We establish rigorous standards, conduct thorough safety assessments, and create extensive paper trails of evidence and processes. But those standards are utterly silent on their own. Documents do not make decisions. Beneath all that sophisticated technical language lies a deeply human variable. Can we actually trust the individuals holding those clipboards to understand what they are looking at? Massive structural failures rarely happen because of a physical weakness alone. They happen because the people responsible lose sight of why the system exists in the first place, hiding behind paperwork as a shield for their own inaction. When human lives hang in the balance, a perfectly checked box means nothing if the person holding the pen lacks the courage and judgment to step up and say, "No, this is not good enough." To understand how to actually evaluate and survive that kind of complex risk, you might expect to study engineering or law. Instead, you need to look at the mechanics of a live jazz ensemble. It sounds like an unlikely pairing, but managing a high-stakes building project and navigating a room full of musicians playing a tune share an identical set of challenges. In both worlds, the ultimate test is pressure. Pressure is ruthless. It strips away pretense, exposing whether the underlying structure is truly sound and whether the organizational culture is actually honest. By watching musicians perform under that exact strain, we get a clear, observable model for how applied human judgment functions when the standard rules break down. On the bandstand, nothing is carved in stone. Every measure depends entirely on exact timing, absolute trust among the players, and a rigorous discipline of listening hard enough to know exactly when to enter and when to stay out. The elite players in that room are rarely the ones playing the loudest. They are the individuals who understand the physical space. They know when to hold their notes back, giving the tune room to breathe while respecting its underlying form. Safety professionals face the exact same requirement. They must master the raw evidence and the technical fundamentals, not as an empty box-ticking ritual, but to build an honest, solid foundation for making difficult, high-stakes decisions. We tend to think of improvisation as reckless chaos. In reality, it is a highly structured reaction. It is discipline in motion, relying entirely on a deep understanding of the established rules in order to safely bend them. This exactness stands in stark contrast to the modern corporate impulse. There is constant, overwhelming pressure to simplify complex risks, boiling dangerous realities down into neat, comfortable slogans. But genuine safety work is not designed to make us feel comfortable. Like good jazz, it demands that you pay strict attention to what is actually happening in the room, rather than what you desperately wish were happening. A poor musician ignores the rest of the band, trying to force their own solo and dominate the entire tune. A poor professional does the exact same thing with evidence, ignoring the facts to force a desired outcome. When someone begins with a predetermined answer and starts working backward to find isolated data points, they are simply decorating a conclusion. If you instead let raw evidence slowly dictate the answer, you build an earned conclusion that can withstand scrutiny. Organizational rank often provides an illusion of authority. You can hold an impressive title, sit in a massive boardroom, and still possess zero moral leadership if your primary incentive is to avoid professional embarrassment rather than avoid physical harm. Leadership requires the willingness to absorb ugly, uncomfortable complexities without pretending they have vanished. It means telling the absolute truth, even when spinning a softer story would be a much more convenient option. Over the course of a long career, you realize something sobering. Your value does not come from possessing absolute certainty. You become truly valuable because you have learned how to think clearly when a situation turns impossibly messy. The reality check in both disciplines is absolute. If you fake your competence on a bandstand, the rest of the musicians know instantly.
If you fake your competence in safety analysis, the catastrophic consequences will eventually reveal the lie to everyone.
This brings us to a specific metric of professional strength: preserved capacity. It is the ability to do the difficult right thing, to act proportionately instead of panicking, and to remain human while navigating rigid, unfeeling systems. Preserved capacity is what guarantees an institution does not just blindly push paper. It ensures the system can absorb immense strain and survive without betraying the people it was built to protect. When the crisis arrives and the structure is tested, the voices that survive are rarely the loudest or the most aggressive. They are the clearest ones. Perfectly functioning systems look exactly like a tight jazz quartet. The room comes alive and remains safe, precisely because every single person is actively listening. So look closely at your own environments, in your daily work, within your institutions, and in your hardest decisions. What survives the pressure?